Hello everyone. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Every day is a good day. There is something to learn, care, and celebrate. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professional free webinar. Thank you all for joining with us in this wonderful session. Ladies and gentlemen, I am proud to be associated with IGP as a global member, and I feel honored to host this webinar, and it's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professional free webinar. Once again, thank you again all for joining with us in this marvelous afternoon session. Dear participants, before we have completed our 740 webinar, today I will be presenting webinar number 741, and the topic is school-based behavior modification technique. Before starting the program, I request everyone to share this webinar in your newsfeed and social media. And don't forget to tag your friend in the comment box. Today we have a speaker from Philippines. Today our speaker name is Mary Star Clarice as Spirit Stories. She is a registered author and writer. She is also certified high impact inspirational speaker and certified human resource associate and certified research consultant. Let's we welcome our speaker to the screen. Hello, ma'am.
Hello. Hi. Good
Good
afternoon.
afternoon.
Good
Good
morning. Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Good evening to everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, give a short description about yourself and please share your screen.
Okay. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone from all over the world. Now, I'm Mary Easter Claire Perez Torres. I am a registered psychometrician, psychologist, and licensed professional teacher here in the Philippines. I am currently teaching at the University of Perpetual Health System Laguna, and I'm very happy to be here today. So let me share my screen. Mhm. Hold on. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yeah, yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me
Make
just,
it full screen.
yes, I'll just do that.
Okay, ma'am. You can start your presentation now.
Okay. So again, tonight I'll be discussing with you school-based behavior modification. Okay, the World Health Organization actually discussed to us that there are 450 million of cases people worldwide to be having a mental health problem. And 5.5% and 3.6% have is the global prevalence of depression and anxiety disorder every year. 50% of the global population have psychiatric disorders that exist by age 14, and mental health problems are developmental in nature. As we know, schools are the primary environment of the students during their formal educational years, and they are responsible in establishing systems that may address the actual and potential mental health problems of the youth. And we are all aware of this because all of us have been in schools, right? And all of us are actually exposed to it, to our schools for more hours in a day. There are several studies associated in student involvement and achievement with mental health, and it was documented that social and emotional learning programs have positive effects on students of diverse backgrounds. Well, we all know that psychological health and mental health needs of secondary students were predictors to life impact, according to a study by Lauder et al. In 2010, and another study by Kuo and Landau mentioned that mental illness symptoms was a predictor of health-related quality of life. So we already know from now that students' mental health is very important. Psychological well being is just as important as their physical health. So, there are also studies that mention experts have reported that there is one suicide referral made per day among the youth, and we have to be uh, we have to treat this as a very alarming news, right? So, in one study as well, by Cruz in 2013 and Salaverria in 2013, they said that destructive exhibitions of social and mental problems among the youth can be attributed to both social and academic factors, and that addressing these problems requires a holistic approach. So all of us here, or most of us here, have experience being students, right? And as students, we know that we are being involved in different activities inside the school. Okay, so what are the different or the various student involvements? Okay, we know that most of us have to be involved in various campus activities. Okay, so whatever it is, whether it's foundation day or week, and also there are different activities for different colleges and other also we have to be a member in campus-based organizations, whatever organizations are those, and of course we have to socially interact with various school entities. And who are these people, right? Okay, when we say school activities, these are common extracurricular activities that can be done in the campus and requiring the respondent to indicate if they are engaged in the said activity given a certain parameter. Also, involvement in campus organizations. When we say organizations, or these are organizations within the campus which the students are members of. Okay, when I was a student, I actually joined various organizations, just like Psychological Society and other sports activities that are available in our school. And then, of course, students are expected to do social interactions with various school entities. Who are these entities? Of course, it could be their teachers, their dean, janitorial staff, canteen staff, everyone, you know, aside from their classmates, of course. And these differentiated roles, job titles in the school must be familiar with students, and it indicates number of times they interact with them in a weekly basis. I think some would agree that we at some point of our lives when we were students, we have to get to know or we have to talk to these school entities. And because of these involvements, of course, students are suffering from mental health issues. And what are those mental health issues? Students experience anxiety, depression, emotional or behavioral control problems, and psychological well being problems. Students who have low perceived quality of support were more likely to experience mental health difficulties, as one study by Hefner and Eisenberg in 2009 have stated. And I think we are all aware of this, that if a student feel that nobody in the school is supporting them, of course, they will feel like their school experience or their life in school is not worthwhile. So, the extent to which students are involved with both curricular and extracurricular activities is also indicative of their psychological well being and distress. Okay, because the more they are involved, like if a student will have more than two um, organizations in school and they are also let's say they are also in a position of power or authority in those organizations, and that they have to be involved and to be interacting with various school entities, it will really affect their psychological well-being and it will give them distress. So, who is our major concern here as educators? Of course, the students, the youth. Most important, youth is, as we all know, is the most important stage of life, which includes changes in emotions, feelings, behavior, and physical condition. Okay, and we have to understand that it is not easy to be an a teenager or an adolescent. Also, they are the ones who are facing various demands from different societal corners. Because if we are demanding a lot from them in school, how are they at home? How are they coping up with their problems at home or with their problems in the community? Of course, they have to play other roles outside of the school, and they have other involvements aside from their involvements in school. Okay, so some of us school administrators and educators tend to miss this very important part, that our students or the teenagers or the adolescents are actually going through a lot of things, and we are expecting a lot from them. Unfortunately, they're fighting invisible enemies. And what are these enemies? Of course, there goes tuition fee, student loans, grades, exams, schoolworks, midterms, relationship, depression, peer pressure, assignment, bullying, self-esteem, all of these all together. Okay? So which is why I'm here to tell you that we have to be mindful that some of our students may have been experiencing depression, anxiety, stress, and in facing all these gigantic problems, we have to understand them. And what are we doing as teachers? What is our role in all these things that our students are going through? My question now here is that are we becoming a tyrant or a friend to our students? You probably know the word discipline, I'm sure. But do you know the word attunement? Okay, when we talk about teachers' attunement, it is a special kind of emotional connectedness of the teacher in which the internal states with the student come together and match. So it is like a sense of communion or oneness that takes place in which both want to be with each other to share and to get lost in the moment. Okay, when we say teacher's attunement, we are referring to the connection. Okay, when the student feel like they want to attend school to be with their teacher, not only with their friends or classmates, but to be with their teacher because they feel like it is very like they feel really good, no, being around their teacher. Now, another word or term that I would like to share with you is what we call the academic leniency. It is the act of the teacher to be tolerable or merciful than expected to the students under their supervision. It may be exercised by giving leeway to requirement, submissions, and giving passing marks despite lack of effort. But it doesn't mean that academic leniency is not caring for the student. It's actually caring for them, but in a way, we have to understand w- what are their difficulties. And in understanding their difficulties, we have to supervise them or to, extend help to them so that they will be able to cope up with our requirements. So in the Philippines, our House Committee backs DepEd to continue academic ease by approving House Bill 7961 to protect the mental health of K-12 learners through scholastic leniency in February 3, 2021. And why is that? Because a lot of students have reported to have experienced mental health problems because they have been doing a lot of things even if they are studying from home. Okay? They are experiencing too much pressure inside the house that they are expected to do household chores while studying, and also they have to take care of their younger siblings while looking after themselves, and it's detrimental for the students. It's difficult for them to do all these things all at the same time. So in September 30, 2021, the House of Representatives urged the Department of Education to exercise scholastic leniency to students of the K-12 program by giving them an automatic passing mark. Okay, this is what I'm talking about, the academic leniency. Okay, do they deserve it? Do they deserve to pass? Well, this comes with a limitation, of course. If the students have been very eager in attending their class and also showing at least effort to cope up with the requirements and not just sitting down there or sleeping while having class, then we can say that the teacher may actually give them an automatic passing mark. So, our Secretary of the Department of Education in the last year noted that department's priority is the safety and welfare of its stakeholders, and the department will continuously implement academic ease measures. And they said that they will ensure that school year 2020-2021 will be bearable. Okay, but now that because the priority of the department is, of course, the welfare of the teachers and learners, and they have to promote effective learning engagement. But the story is different now because in August 15, this coming August 15, most of the schools here in the Philippines will be opening for face-to-face classes. Okay. There are some schools or universities that are implementing HiFlex or hybrid studies, in which there are students who will be staying at home and will do online studying, and there will be some students who will be attending face-to-face classes. So not all 100% of the school population will be back in their campuses. Okay. Still, the Department of Education still worries or is still concerned about the welfare of the teachers and learners. And for this reason, teachers must play an essential role And what is the role or the most important or the important roles of the teachers? It is our role to inspire learners, to affect greatness, to understand skill and capabilities of our learners, to help the students achieve their full potential, and to be problem solver and to help in learning challenges. Okay? Therefore, we can apply teachers' attunement and academic leniency to improve our students' quality of life. Because this is something that as we were students before, and we know that it's very difficult to approach teachers, especially if teachers are not approachable. Okay, so as teachers of this generation or educators of this age, it is important that we show attunement towards our student and give them leniency if necessary, because we don't want to create, future adults with mental health problems, of course, right? And we want our students to have a quality life while they are in school, where they are exposed for more than 8 hours a day. So, if we will apply it, we can answer the following questions. Can building relationships with students reduce the incidence of classroom disruptions? Should teachers take the time to engage in outside classroom activities in order to build stronger relationships with their students? And can chronic behavior students be impacted by maintaining positive relationships with their teachers? Now, there are actually tests that we can try to see or to monitor the student teacher relationship. And we have the first one is the STRS, the Student Teacher Relationship Scale, which is a 15 item 5-point scale yield scores on conflict and closeness of the educators and their students. Also, there is what we call the SIRS, or the Student Instructor Relationship Scale. It is a 36 item inventory that is developed to tap student instructor relationship connectedness and anxiety. So the way the students see the importance of being in the school may actually depend on and differ from their socioeconomic status. Of course, students who will be coming from the well-off family may actually feel that they are more welcome, that it is easier for them to study, and that whatever they will be needing, it will be provided to them. However, students who will be coming from the marginalized area may not feel the same way. And sometimes they tend to prioritize food rather than going to school, because for them, what is studying? That studying would be nonsense if they have nothing on their table. So some students will actually mm, look for a job than spend their time in school. Okay? So even though they think that education is important, their mindset would be always to look for survival, to look for food rather than grades. So, if that is the case, and we know that students are suffering from this kind of mindset, we have, as educators, we have to build relationship with them. Relationship building is the cornerstone of good classroom management. Quite often, educators are the major source in teaching social norms, especially in the lower socioeconomic class. Students without this particular piece of puzzle can struggle with all remaining aspects of their education. Well, in school, one of the most important tasks young children face is to form a close and harmonious relationship with the teacher. And as former students, I know that that is one of our dilemmas in the past, that we are hesitant to approach our teachers because we think that they are too busy or that they are too stressed to talk to us, and that there are so many other students that they need to take care of, that even if our concern is very important, we would step back because we think that our problem is not that important. Now, achieving an environment where all students feel safe and cared for is paramount to success. Teachers giving their time and their energy will encounter more success within the classroom than those who punch a clock and do not become invested within their charges' lives. Okay? So, what are we talking about here? As educators or as teachers, for us to have successful students in the future, we have to go the extra mile. We have to show them that we care. We have to listen to their stories. We have to know their problems. We have to be involved with them as much as they are involved to us and to other entities in our school. So I know this is a very difficult task for teachers, especially those who are handling what 40 or 40 to 60 students in one classroom. And it has become a very impossible task for many educators in the public sector. That's why, even if this is something that is vital for the growth of our students, some teachers would not do their best in reaching out to their students. Emotional needs of students are vast and varied, and to be aware of a student's needs is a major step to controlling classroom disruption. In order to be sensitive to students' needs, it is necessary for teachers to perceive students' emotional states accurately. Another question: how are we going to do this if there are so many students in one classroom? I know this must be very difficult, but one of the approach that some effective teachers are doing is that they put students in clusters. Like this is a cluster of students with um, with problems at home. These are the students, a group or cluster of students with another issues that they need to deal with. But as long as they are of the same group, they will be able to help each other out because they will understand one another. Okay, so that is one of the effective approach there. But later we will be talking about other effective approach that we can use to modify behavior inside the school or inside our classroom. So learning is facilitated when a close, positive relationship exists between teacher and pupil. When there is a positive relationship between educator and pupil, their potential to succeed is unlimited because if the teacher is involved in the success of the student, she or he will do whatever it takes to help the students, and the students in return will also do their best not to disappoint their teacher. So, the effective quality of children's relationships with their teachers is associated with many positive school outcomes. And also, if the students or or the children feels there is connection between them and their teachers and the school administrators, of course, it can influence their social and emotional adjustment as well as their academic performance. So, what can we do as teachers or educators inside the classroom? How can we help our students? We can become mental health advocates. This is another hat that as teachers we will be wearing. I know this is very difficult because I am already a teacher. I am already doing a lot of tasks. I have to attend a meeting with the other teachers. I have to attend seminars to develop my skills. One of my hat would be being if especially for those who are teaching small kids, preschoolers. Another role that you will have to play is to become a, a parent to these kids, and also the role of a teacher itself, right? But to add more to that, to become a mental health advocate, isn't it too much? Okay. Being a mental health advocate is not easy, but it is not also difficult. The role of teachers in promoting mental health is related to early detection of children at risk of mental health problems. School based counseling interventions can contribute to mental health promotion. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, school is where children are exposed to a lot of people for more than 8 hours a day. I think most students are spending more time in school than they have at home and outside. So if that is the case, therefore we have all the time, all the opportunities to help the students have a better mental health or have a better psychological well-being, because it's a domino effect. If we are not going to take this opportunity or take advantage of this chance to influence or help our students, then I'm sad to tell you, but we are going to face a bad future for the next generation. Because if we are going to put pressure instead of connection with our students, then they will become what? I don't know, maybe rebels, maybe people um, with depression that will become unproductive in the future. Maybe they will some of them will become aggressive people who doesn't care whether they hurt other people. Some of them will have social anxiety because we were not able to detect their problem, or we were not able to deal with the issues that they're having inside the classroom. Maybe some of them are being bullied and we didn't even care. Okay? So it's like saying, as I impart this to you, prevention is always better than cure. If we will be the ones who will become mental health advocates in our very own classrooms settings, then we are creating a better world for the future generation. So teaching social emotional skills such as emotion management, conflict management, problem solving skills can strengthen the student's social emotional competence and enhance their psychological resilience. So, positive interpersonal relationships in school context. The quality of teacher student relationships and teacher parent relationships are associated with teachers' role in promoting mental health. Okay. So as I mentioned, being a mental health advocate, it may not be easy, but again, it is not difficult. You just have to establish a positive interpersonal relationship with your students. When we say positive interpersonal relationship, it is how it is a good way or an enhanced way of dealing with your students. That you will listen to them when they approach you, that you will make them feel welcome and accommodated, that you will not make them feel left out inside the classroom or humiliate them in front of their classmates just because he or she was not able to answer the question correctly. Is that difficult? I don't think so. Also, we have to establish constructive interpersonal relationships. It can contribute to preventing behavior problems and enhancing students' psychosocial development and adaptation. Now, it is different from positive interpersonal relationships because this time you're not just being nice to the students or accommodating to them. This time, when you are constructive, you are giving them constructive criticisms or feedback. You are telling them how to improve. You are telling them how to be better in what they do. And you are giving them good ways or best practices on how they can improve and develop their skills so that they will gain high self-esteem or self-confidence and face their classmates and other people with pride. So now let's go down to the behavior modification in the classroom. Some people might actually think, or some educators might actually think, oh, I'm not a psychology major. I don't know how to do this, and it might be difficult for me. So maybe that's the reason why we have school psychologists or guidance counselors. But no, you may actually apply these simple techniques within the classroom, okay? Because they are very easy. Okay, so first model is focusing on prevention. Okay, focusing on prevention. Now, what are these models? So we have preventative classroom management. Okay, so the technique emphasized here is effective teaching practices, frequent monitoring, clear rules and procedures, social praise, and so forth. Okay, in this way, you can prevent any ill incidents or untoward incidents inside the classroom. Okay, you have to make sure as an educator that you are updated, upgraded in terms of your teaching practices. You have to make sure that you always monitor your students if they are attending school or not. You have to make sure that no one is being left behind. Like if you are explaining math to them, you have to ask them, do you understand, guys? Or if there's anyone here who cannot understand, I am willing to repeat it so that you will find it clear. Also, you have to set rules and regulations or house rules inside the classroom. In this way, students will be aware of the things that they will have to do inside the classroom or how they will behave. Also, social praise. When we say social praise, praise them in public, criticize them in private. Do not humiliate them just for you to feel better than them. Okay? When you think that the student is doing well, or if not doing well, doing their best, you have to praise them. You have to appreciate them and tell them that, hey, that is that is a good point. I really appreciate you stepping up to answer the question. Okay, although the answer is incorrect, but I truly appreciate your effort. Okay, so simple phrases like that can actually go a long way. Also, another is pro-social behavior. So you have to have a system in reinforcing their behavior. Like if you want them to keep studying, you have to find a way on how to reward them. Also, modeling of pro-social behavior. Like if you want them to be quiet, you have to stop being you have to stop yelling at them all the time. If you want them to be disciplined, you have to stop doing everything for them. Okay. And then verbal instruction. Um, you have to find a way to capture their attention that by merely telling them what to do, they will follow. And role playing. Okay, this is one of the most effective technique. Like would you may ask the students if this is student A and this is student B, and there is a situation inside the classroom, what will you do? Okay, let's have student A. Okay, any volunteer, and then student B, any volunteer. Okay, let's try this. Okay, showing something or demonstrating through role playing may actually help the students realize misbehavior. Okay, next model is moral education. Classroom moral discussions of real life dilemmas, hypothetical situations, and literature. Role playing, student participation in school government. You know, here in the Philippines, um, every school, every year, they are promoting, no, or allowing students to participate in school government. And um, in every year there is what we call a student governance election, where student leaders are allowed to vote, and then the voted or elected students will play the role of the little mayor, little counselors, etc., etc. So this may actually bring them, a glimpse of what they really want in the future. Next is we have the SPS, or the social problem solving. It is direct teaching of SPS skills like applying alternative thinking, means ends thinking, and also we can follow self-instruction training in order for us to realize on how to solve some social problems, and dialoguing. Okay. And the next model is effective communication models. Effective communication models values clarification, activities, active listening, communication, and interpersonal skills training for students and teachers. So here we can practice allowing the students to listen to their classmates and when they're speaking, and um, answering any questions that will be given to them. Next is focusing on correction and control of misbehavior. So the first model is behavior modification model. Here we give direct instruction as to or calling out the behavior that has been done, the wrong behavior that has been done, and giving them instruction what to do. Also, we can do reinforcement techniques to strengthen the good behavior and to weaken the bad behavior. So here in the reinforcement techniques, it includes social praise, material reinforcers, and tokens. However, if you get your students used to these kinds of techniques, they will always expect of something. Also, punishment-oriented techniques may also be done, but nowadays it's not as effective as before. Um, it's not good, but some educators may actually include verbal reprimand, response costs, and timeout. So group contingency techniques such as the good behavior game and behavioral contracting may actually be done. Next is assertive discipline. Okay, here, teacher assertion, systematic use of behavior modification techniques, and continuous monitoring may actually be done. Okay. And of course, lastly, we have focusing on correction and control of misbehavior through reality therapy. So in reality therapy, here we have confrontation questioning, classroom meetings, what else? Classroom moral discussion, social problem solving, problem contracting, logical consequences, timeout preventative techniques, such as democratic governance. So there are so many things that you can try here. Oh, sorry. And then the other one focuses on treatment, okay, especially for those who can afford it. Okay, so first, if there is a problem with the child, maybe the root of the problem is the parent, so we can have the parent undergo parent management training. So in the parent management training, um, in application, they parent training in application of behavioral techniques. No, um, parents may actually learn various techniques on how they can manage their kids. So also we can try family therapy. So family therapy is a variety of therapeutic and educational techniques depending on the particular model. And then behavior therapy. So variety of cognitive, behavioral, and operant techniques. Sorry. Now we are heading to reinforcement. The reinforcement theory tells us that individual's behavior is a function of its consequences. So it is based on law of effect, wherein individual behavior with positive consequences tends to be repeated, but individuals' behavior with negative consequences tends to be repeated or consistent. So it overlooks the internal state of individual, the inner feelings and drives of individuals are ignored by Skinner, and this theory focuses totally on what happens to an individual when he takes some action. Positive reinforcement implies giving a positive response when an individual shows positive and required behavior. For example, immediately praising an employee for complying nearly for job. This will increase probability of outstanding behavior occurring again. However, reward is a positive reinforcement, but not necessarily. Okay, if and only if the employee's behavior improves, reward can said to be a positive reinforcer. Positive um, reinforcement stimulates occurrence of a behavior, and it must be noted that more spontaneous is the giving of reward, the greater reinforcement value has. Yeah. While negative reinforcement implies rewarding an employee by removing negative, undesirable consequences. So both positive and negative reinforcement can be used. So for increasing the desirable required behavior, yeah, we can do that. However, punishment. So punishment implies removing a positive consequences. So say for example, if your parents bought you a new cell phone, they can take it away as part of your punishment because they don't want you sleeping late at night. So for instance, suspending an employee for breaking the organizational rules, punishment can be equalized by positive reinforcement from alternative source. Okay, so as you may know, positive may still be treated good, no? It's just a matter of how you see it. Because the one who is punishing you is seeing all the things that you're doing and have observed that you have been lacking. While extinction implies absence of reinforcements, in other words, extinction implies lowering the probability of this undesired behavior by removing reward for that kind of behavior. So, for instance, if an employee no longer gives praise and admiration for his good work, they may feel that his behavior is generating no fuel, that his behavior is generating no fruitful consequence, and extinction may unintentionally lower the desirable behavior. Now, this is a matrix, a reinforcement and punishment matrix, or the schedule of reinforcement. So, in positive reinforcement, you are increasing and adding, say, people. Okay. In here, as we know, the stimulus is negative reinforcement, and because there is negative here, it means that there is something that will be taken away from the student. Okay. And then another here is positive punishment, negative. Um, okay, positive punishment, negative consequences. Okay, means you're adding punishment to another person that who might actually turn out to be traumatized, right? Okay, and then here negative punishment, and then it's like the the person or the student actually has a problem with her self-esteem, and whenever he asks some of the school deities, they will add more to that, and they will say, "Oh yeah, you're ugly." Okay. So that is really a negative punishment. You're adding torment to another person. Okay. But of course, again, we can turn it around. So technique, behavior, consequence, and probable effect. Okay. Yeah. So for example, see positive reinforcement. Okay. Let's say that the student has done well in school or in class. Therefore, you have to praise the student and tell the student, "Oh, you did well in today's class." Okay, probably the student will always continuously um, do their best, no? Because they will feel rewarded with just one word. Of course, there is also positive reinforcement, like say for example, Carmen brushes her teeth after meals. Carmen receives a nickel each time. Carmen will continue to brush her teeth after meals. Okay, so here something is being added. Something is being, um, sharing. No, okay. So how about in school? How about in classroom? No? Okay, say for example, you are implementing a golden star sticker for all the students who will do well. Okay, that is positive reinforcement. And probably those students with golden star will continue on pursuing the golden star. Okay. Okay. Here's another example for negative reinforcement. You are reducing something. Okay. Okay. So what are they adding here? Oh, subtracting. Okay. So if you see here, he doesn't want to attend school anymore because he will be beaten by the other boys. Okay. So the consequence is to allow him to remain at home because of his complaints. Okay. Another is um, some of the, say, for example, classmates are doing well in school and Balin is not doing well. So he has been complaining about his headaches and feeling that he cannot budget his time anymore. So the consequence is that Balin is allowed to go to bed or without doing his homework. Okay. So Balin will have headaches whenever there is homework. Okay. Another model would be extinction, um, wherein if it is not being reinforced, the behavior is not being reinforced. It means that the growing child can actually um, forget about it. So the consequences would be they will forget that it has actually existed, or say in the inside the classroom in extinction. Um, if a child is very eager in reciting, keeps on raising her hands, but you don't seem to notice, okay, every single day for 1 week. So the child will realize that, oh, my teacher is not taking or giving me attention. So I'll just leave it to whatever. Um, okay. So that is the example of extinction. And then punishment, as we already know a while ago, okay, everything that we're doing, especially if it's not within the school context, is, um, I know it is a camp, but it's very important that we have to be aware, or what kind of punishment are we imposing on our student. Like, say, for example, if the student is sitting on the arm of the chair and you know that it might break, or it might, and she might fall. Okay. So punishment is spanking each time, a probability that she will not sit there again. But if that is the case, no, if there are other things that we can do aside from directly punishing the student. Like, say, for example, I will remove one golden star from you, or one good mark from you, for you, if you will not sit properly. Okay. So for the schedules of reinforcement, for the variable ratio, say, for example, for the cumulative response and that time, it is important that if you're going to impose some reinforcement, you may actually do it in various ratio, like, say, a year. For the whole year, you will notice different students at a time. You will not put all your effort or attention to this one particular student only. You may actually impose um, punishment or reward every quarter, every Christmas break, every before Halloween, etc. Okay. Fixed ratio means that you are just giving reinforcement to the same amount of individuals. Okay, variable interval. It means that there will be a variety of how long are you going to give the reinforcement. And the fixed interval is you fix, meaning consistency. Like, I will give reward every week, or every month, or every school grading. So that's how we should reinforce so we can help on modifying the behavior of the students inside the classroom. Also remember I feed A rules. Immediately, frequently, enthusiasm, eye contact, describe the behavior, anticipation, and variety. Okay. Also in shaping, we have to select a target behavior and define it. Also observe how often the behavior is exhibited. We also have to select reinforcers um, to tell or inform the students on how what else can be done, right? Also decide on close approximations and reinforce successive approximations to the target behavior each time it occurs. And then reinforce the newly established behavior and reinforce the old behavior on a variable schedule and begin reinforcing the new behavior on an engagement or continuous schedule. So, in creating a shaping plan, maybe we can have this as an example. Think of a target behavior that you really intend to change or to modify. Okay, maybe you are thinking right now. Then frequency of exhibited behavior, like do you notice it every day? And then think of a reinforcer, and then give several activities to keep him distracted, no? And then succession of reinforcement, is it going to be fixed ratio, variable ratio, etc. So that's how we are going to design a shaping plan. Say you have one particular student who is a problem student inside the classroom. Call him out. Tell him what to do and how um, how we should entertain them or how we should talk to them. Okay, so that will be it. Thank you very much. I'm returning the floor now to our host. Hello.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your wonderful presentation. Ma'am, now we are proceed to our quiz competition. Then we come back again with our Q&A session. Okay, ma'am?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear participants, let's we enjoy our quiz video. time, you can join this session by slido.com, and today our quiz code is IGP. The code is IGP. You can also scan our QR code from the screen to join this session. Don't forget to mention your friends in the comment box. Now 50 participants already joined with us. We start our quiz competition after 1 minute later. So join, be hurry up. Now 60 participants join with us. Now 63 participants already joined with us. We start our quiz competition now, so be ready. Our first question is, what is a behavioral objective? Is it an objective that outlines associated behavior related to the classroom or desired outcome of instruction defined with specific observable behavior? Option number 2, desired outcome of instruction defined with specific observable behavior is the right answer. Our next question is, similar to behavior modification is a less intensive form of behavior therapy. Is it preventive technique or behavior management? Option number 2, behavior management is the right answer. Our next question is, what are three components necessary to construct a behavioral objective? Is it measurable or specify lower level and higher level skills? Option number 1, measurable is the right answer. Our next question is, in order for a student to be effective while using self-regulation technique, his or her personal expectation must be specific and difficult or practical and realistic. Option number 2, practical and realistic is the right answer. Our next question is, two popular behavioral technique is realistic job review and guided imagery or resume and cover letter writing. Option number 1, realistic job review and guided imagery is the right answer. Our next question is, What technique will save you time by uncovering needed solution? Is it transfer or problem solving? Option number 2, problem solving is the right answer. Our next question is, two parts of a behavioral objective are the parts of behavioral objective are condition, criterion, and function, or condition, behavior, and criterion. Option number 2, condition, behavior, and criterion is the right answer. Our next question is, what influences behavioral psychology? Is it individual or self-directed choices, or rewards and punishments? Option number 2, rewards and punishment is the right answer. Our next question is, MTSS addresses academic and behavioral needs of all students. The statement is true or false? Option number 1, the statement is true. Our last and final question is, behavioral approach recognizes the importance of external environment on personality. The statement is true or false? Option number 1, the statement is true. Thank you everyone, and congratulations of our top 10 quiz competition winners. Top 10 quiz competition winners get their quiz prizes from our official Facebook page. On the leaderboard now, the top position is Jogar Baldesco, and the second one is Anna Janilla, and the third one is Sande Olabod Oladokon, and the fourth one is Ashok Kumar Odhikari, and the fifth one is Jacqueline Abisa, and the sixth one is Lisa Billy, and the seventh one is Naomi, and the eighth one is Tashi Dama, and the ninth one is Jinalin, and the last one is Jinalin Jerian. Thank you everyone for participating this session. Now we are proceed to our Q&A. Let's enjoy this video. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for staying in the backstage. Dear participants, now our Q&A session time. You can send your question in the comment box. After Q&A session, we have certification process. So participants are requested to ask their question in the comment box. Dear participants, if you have any question related this topic, you can ask the question in the comment box. Dear participants, we are still waiting for your question. Dear participants, if you have any question related this topic, you can ask the question in the comment box. We are still waiting for your question. Ma'am, our first question is intrinsic motivation is for long-term memory. How do we discourage extrinsic motivation?
Okay, that is a very beautiful question. You know, well, although the extrinsic motivation is very easy to provide because you just have to find a material way to give it to your pupils or students. Um, Somehow it is something that is not lasting, like it is very temporary. So instead of um, giving our students or our learners with extrinsic motivation or material things that they can actually brag about, like I have this and that, okay, we can encourage them, or motivate them intrinsically by um, giving them challenging questions on um, how well they understand the questions and what is the value of the lesson to them. So in that way we can encourage intrinsic motivation instead of just making them dependent on extrinsic um, motivation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mhm.
Ma'am, our next question is, good afternoon, ma'am. Are there natural consequences and when and how to use it? And thank you.
Okay, natural consequences. Okay, in a classroom setting, it is very important that we identify the consequences of any actions or any behavior of the students, and we have to let them realize what is going to be the consequences if they do some misbehavior. Okay, and in doing so we can do that without humiliating them in front of other students. um, Say for example, if a child is misbehaving, moving around inside the classroom, you have to ask the student, why are you moving around the classroom? What seems to be bothering you? Okay, instead of just merely yelling at them, stop moving. Okay, because if you just say stop moving without asking the reason why they are doing that, then they will not know if why are you yelling, or um, how come why are you treating the action wrong, or why are you treating the behavior a misbehavior. Okay, also there are so many other things that you have to consider um, before you consider a student as a misbehaving student, because remember that there are learning disabilities, there is also ADHD, there is also autism, there are exceptionalities that we have to consider. So in realizing all these things, then we can we can actually, treat our students in a way that we will not just also respond um, impulsively towards them. Yeah. I, yeah.
Thank you, ma'am, for the wonderful answer.
Mhm.
Ma'am, our next question is my question,
Why
ma'am
we're-
Mary. Why
mhm.
behavior modification is important in the field of education?
Okay, so this is a nice question. Behavior modification is important in the field of education because, as I've mentioned, students are spending more time inside the classroom, and teachers have the chance and opportunity to take advantage of it, because the time that they are spending with their student is the time that they can influence their behavior for the better. That is why we have to find a way on how we can help as teachers on modifying the behavior of our learners inside the classroom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ma'am, our next question is what measures should one employ to modify the chronic behavior of students?
Okay. So one may be, of course, the fastest way is to send them to the guidance office to know what is the problem of the student. Okay, for us to be able to understand them, especially if the teacher has no psychology background. Okay, but if you are familiar with exceptionalities, as I've mentioned earlier, we will not just call them chronic behavior because they like doing that, that they are antisocial students and they are just, they like misbehaving inside the classroom to gain attention. It's not that. Let's remember that we were once students who also have problems, and that is the reason why some students are misbehaving inside the classroom, because they have problems that they don't know how to deal with. That's why they are bringing it inside the classroom. So the best way first is to know what their problem is. This again is going the extra mile. Seek the help of the guidance counselor of the school or a school psychologist if you have one. And then, of course, if you are, since you already have attended this webinar or this training, apply the knowledge that you have from here to your classroom setting so that you will be able to help your students inside the classroom.
Thank you, ma'am. Our next question is what will you do if you are the one who triggers the students to misbehave?
Okay, well, most of the teachers may actually trigger students because of the anxiety that they are causing the students, right? Like if a student has test anxiety, whenever the student sees a teacher carrying a test paper around, of course the student will be triggered to have anxiety. Yes, that is a very sensible question. If you are the trigger, you may directly ask the student, am I triggering you? Am I the one causing you anxiety? Am I causing you worries or problem? If that's the case, how can I help you? Okay, not to feel that way. Yeah. So in that way, you may be able to address the problem directly.
Thank you. Our next question is,
Mm,
oh, this is not question here.
mm.
Added the most behavior in children are as a result of the immediate environment or
Right, right.
abandoned and neglected children.
Right, right. I totally agree with that. The behavior of the children are a result of their immediate environment. However, we can still do something about it as educators. That is why we are doing this webinar, because we want to help each other on how we can directly affect them through behavior modification techniques inside the classroom. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your wonderful answer. We are very grateful to you for your valuable time you are sharing with us. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Ma'am, what is the last and final words for our audience?
Oh, okay. I would love to invite everyone to continue on supporting Institute of Global Professionals and continue on following their webinars every time they are posting them. And this will help us professionals to have a better perspective and improve in our profession. Thank you very much for the invitation, and thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Dear participants, this is our school-based behavior modification technique, and today our program code is IGP 2020. The code is IGP 2020. Without code, no one is eligible for certificate. With code, you can claim your certificate anytime, and without an account on our website, you can visit only, but you can't do anything functionally. So to download your certificate, you have to go to our website, then you have to enroll the program, and then you have to put the code, and the code is IGP 2020. Then you can download your certificate. After downloading your certificate, don't forget to celebrate with IGP. Let me remind you again that don't forget to share, take, comment, and mention your friends in the comment box, because your attachment encourages us to do better and best service to our lovely audience. Our mission is to empower our youth, so stay with us by your support. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending this session.